This is 2024's 5 Blind Dates. Warning, spoilers ahead. Leah starts this story off by warning us that this isn't your traditional fairy tale romance, and she gives us some of her background. She owns her own tea shop, her grandmother was the light of her life until she died, and her ex-best friend was a huge part of her life until their tragic falling out. In the present, Leah kicks out a customer because they want bubble tea, and now her best friend Mason tells her they should have considered getting that kind of tea. The tragic inner workings of modern traditional tea shops. I still prefer traditional tea over boba tea. Comment if you agree. Mason decides that they should go out to blow off some steam that night, but Leah just turns down a potential date so that she can work on her maid of honor speech for her sister's wedding coming up. Mason assumes that she's going to the wedding without a date, and he assumes correctly according to Leah. After that lame outing, she heads home to talk to her grandmother's shrine, and she talks about how she needs a new plan since she only has 1 month of rent money left. The next day, Leah and Mason head to her hometown of Townsville, and she warns Mason not to judge the town by this nice opening. Eventually, they get dropped off at the local Chinese restaurant, and they run into Alice. Alice's energy is ridiculous, and you can tell that this is her energy all the time. It's not just for the wedding party. Meanwhile, Leah is already fearing her mother, so this should be a fun get-together. Jing is definitely hard on Leah, and she's surprised to hear the fake news about the tea shop being successful. On the other hand, Xian, Leah's father, has a whole different type of energy, a much more forgiving and comfortable energy. It turns out that her parents are not together anymore, and he thinks the reason is quite obvious considering the fact that Jing immediately starts putting pressure on him when he arrives. The rest of the wedding party is waiting for Mrs. Lee, the fortune teller, and just as Leah goes to eat food, she shows up. Alice decides that Leah's business is supposed to be celebrated as well, and the fortune teller tells her that she has to find her true love to help save her business. Better yet, she says that one of her next 5 dates will be her soulmate. Not to put pressure on her or anything, but that's not a lot of time when your family are the ones picking dates for you. Looking at the family members and their own shortcomings, I'd say that Leah would be better off closing her eyes and picking 5 people off the street. While Leah catches up with people she hasn't seen since high school, she bumps into Richard and the two of them get some drinks. The two of them seem to be doing okay while playing Jenga, but the past seems to be grinding Leah's gears, and after she finds out that he's the best man of the wedding, she decides to drink and make a fool of herself. In the morning, she trips getting out of bed, but she ends up tripping on Richard's body. He took her home since he didn't know where she was staying, and Leah tries to play hard to get as she says she has a date for the wedding. Needless to say, Leah just dug herself into a big hole, and she's agreeing to do the 5 blind dates. The guy that her dad set her up to date has her meet somewhere that looks like she's getting her organs harvested. This is a great start. It's actually a really fancy underground club, and Apollo is a very strict businessman. Leah is just a little confused to find out that he wants to get married to her right away so she can be his Australian wife while his life partners live across the street. Leah is baffled by the proposition, but she checks out his apartment and listens to his agreement. When he mentions that he wants 3 sons from her, she starts questioning if this is really how she wants to do things. She politely turns him down, and he still agrees to go to Alice's wedding with her. The next day, Leah agrees to let Mason give her a makeover, and he calls in help. Some of these looks are absolutely atrocious. I'm no style expert, but the green look is terrifying and intriguing at the same time. Leah finds a look that suits her best, and she heads to the Botanical Gardens to meet Ezra, the date her mom set up for her. Leah knows Ezra already, though, and she finds out that they have a bit more in common than she thought. They go for a foraging experience, and it turns out that he's extremely allergic to one of the plants she has him try. What better way to make a date memorable than to almost kill him with plants he's allergic to? I'd say that stabbing someone with an EpiPen on your first date is rather exciting, so long as it works. It does, though. The two of them end up hitting it off pretty well, and they kiss after things calm down. But things get a little awkward when he calls Leah Jing. I guess someone has mommy issues, but not because of his own mom. The next day, Richard pops up at the tea shop to do the next step of Alice's wedding plans, and he ends up loving the tea shop as he's seeing it for the first time. Once again, things seem to be going well between the two of them as they come up with ideas for the wedding, but things take a turn when Leah feels things are getting a little too personal. Richard takes his leave, and Mason thinks that things didn't work between them before because they're actually too much alike. Why is it that opposites attract and people who are similar to each other can't stand being around each other too much? That makes no sense at all. Well, it turns out that Leah missed her chance because when the splash party comes around, Richard has a date. You snooze, you lose. Richard shows up with Rosie, and Leah definitely starts feeling a certain way. Well, Alice already has the blind date for Leah set up, and she introduces her to Curtis, a life coach. Now, Richard is feeling a certain kind of way. Curtis is a very touchy-feely guy, and his connection to the universe is rather intense. Curtis tells Leah that he'll help her get past her fear of water, and he takes her out into the natural pool. His technique really works, and Leah kisses him in front of everyone. This definitely hits home with Richard, and Richard talks about this while he gives her a ride home that night. Things get rather heated between the two of them, and we find out that he broke a pact with her to start the tea shop together all those years ago. Things get so heated that Leah has him drop her off in the rain. Things aren't looking too good for Leah right about now, and things definitely didn't go well at the dress shop the next day. In fact, things go so badly that Alice uninvites her to the wedding, and she's no longer the maid of honor. This is an absolute disaster, but she manages to get back to the tea shop with a wedding dress she didn't pay for. She also finds out that they've gotten an eviction notice. Better yet, Leah ends up going crazy on a young hipster who starts recording her rant. If she doesn't get business for going viral with all of this, then the shop truly is doomed. Leah's family tries to reach out to her over the next day or so, but Leah can't manage to bring herself to call any of them back. After 3 days, Mason comes over to pull her out of her funk, and he tells her that he's going to be her fourth blind date instead. He takes her up to the roof to get drunk and listen to her problems, and Leah opens up about how she feels like she's letting everyone down. Leah feels like her grandmother would be disappointed in her, and she tells a story about making tea with her. In the process, Leah remembers advice from her grandmother that she'd forgotten, and she thinks that this is the best day by far. Leah heads back into the tea shop to give it a nice little makeover, and Mason is impressed with the new setup. Sure enough, the new setup seems nice, but she now has fans because of going viral. You know what they say, there's no such thing as bad publicity. Embarrassing publicity? Sure. Bad publicity? Never. Business is booming, and Richard even shows up when Leah puts on her tea demonstration. He stays long enough for her to see him at the back, but he decides to leave so she can enjoy her success. Now that things are better at the shop, Leah decides to head back to Townsville for Alice's wedding. Once she gets there, she finds that Alice is having trouble, but their sisterly love makes everything better. Later, Leah goes to find Jing, and she finds her getting frisky with Ezra. At first, they're embarrassed, but after seeing Leah's face of approval, they admit that they're into each other. After Ezra leaves, Jing and Leah make up, and they can finally relax around each other for the first time in their life. It's a beautiful ceremony, but let's not forget the point of this movie. 5 blind dates. Mason was number 4, so who do you think number 5 will be? Mrs. Ling shows up to check in on Leah, and she tells her that she still has one last chance to follow through with her prediction. Then Alice's new husband, Nigel, shows up to tell Leah what really happened with Richard all those years back when he broke their promise about starting the tea shop. It turns out that his mother got very sick after he graduated high school, and he stayed behind to run the family business. Now Leah feels guilty for hating him for all those years, and Zian comes over to apologize for not being the best dad. He's still proud of her though, and he tells her that her grandmother would be extremely proud of her as well. Those are the words Leah needs to hear right now, and she takes him out onto the dance floor for a dance. As if things weren't awkward enough before, all of Leah's previous dates are there as well. That definitely makes it a little weird, but they're all leaving her be. As wedding traditions continue, Leah leaves Alice a piece from their grandmother, and she spreads a bit of wisdom that she realizes she should have been listening to the whole time. She wishes Nigel and Alice years of happiness, and she realizes that Richard might just be her chance at happiness in that aspect. Then, Leah rushes out of the venue to chase after Richard, and she finds him looking at the sky by the water. Leah asks him why he never told her about his sick mother, and he tells her that he knew she'd have stayed with him if he had told her. So he let her follow her dream on her own instead. The two of them start kissing just as the fireworks go off, and Leah knows that this is her soulmate. If only it was that simple. When you find your soulmate, literal fireworks signal that this is it. Yeah, right. Well, everyone goes back to their lives in the city, and Richard and Leah are officially a couple. A happy one at that. Then the credits roll. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more like this one. Comment what you think I should watch next, and I'll see you in the next video.